Meet the mayor's edition of 10 News Conference. In with me now is the new mayor of Attleboro, Mayor Cathleen DeSimone. You're back. I remember you from the debate.
That's right, Gene. Feels like a long time ago.
You were standing right over there. You had multiple opponents.
Yes,
right?
There were four of us in the race.
And housing was an issue, and commuter rail, and everything was an issue. So how is it now, 6 months under your belt?
Well, technically, I'm a little bit more than a year in, because you may recall I won the special election.
Right.
And finished the term. So I'm a little bit, maybe, 14 months on the job?
Okay, all right. But the election was in November to get you. So
yes, I'm in my first full term.
Whatever you consider your start date, go ahead. How's it going in Attleboro?
It's going well. I think overall there's a lot of growth in Attleboro. People continue to move there for the very same reasons that I did 25 years ago, which is because we're centrally located between Providence and Boston. Mm-hmm. We've got two commuter rail stations, and we're still relatively affordable by Massachusetts standards. So it's going well.
Did you hear the mayor of Fall River say those triple deckers are going for $700,000 in Fall River?
Housing. Yeah,
that's amazing.
It is amazing. We're not quite that high in Attleboro, but I would say our average home price is probably around $400,000.
Well, the Boston people have to be coming down to scoop up a house for $400,000.
You're exactly right, Gene. People are coming down from municipalities closer to Boston because Attleboro is more affordable. Yeah, it's remarkable.
Is that a good thing? Because I've heard mayors complain, and they say, well, that's nice, but the real Attleboro people can't afford it anymore. Yes. If you're going to buy a house and it's going to become $500,000-$600,000.
It's interesting because part of being a city is the diversity of the demographic that you serve, right? And I think you have, in order to be a city, you have to maintain that demographic and welcome all people. So it is a particular challenge as senior citizens and low-income folks are really up against it in terms of buying a house, forget it, rents alone. So I don't know where we're headed, but it is concerning. And at the end of the day, I don't know where folks are going to go, because where isn't expensive in New England? Well, where do you go?
This affordable housing issue has become almost the issue of the year.
Yes.
In Rhode Island and Massachusetts, building, and then the homeless become part of this.
Yes.
What's been your experience with the homeless in Attleboro?
So I was telling the mayor outside the studio that we do have some homeless folks in Attleboro. Yeah. I can't say that I'm aware of a noticeable increase in the amount of folks, which I find interesting. They tend to stay out of sight. They live there's some encampments off the train station tracks in the woods. So no particular issues that I'm concerned about there. But I do wonder, as I said, as we keep going along with this housing crisis and the increasing prices, how does it end? It's not even just about homeless folks anymore, Gene. The housing crisis is hitting low income and moderate income, educated professionals now. Can't buy a house. I've talked to college graduates who can't find a house. So it's particularly concerning across economic levels now.
Just a quick footnote. When you heard that your Secretary of Transportation talk about border tolls,
I don't know what that was about.
She got everybody in Rhode Island frightened. I had to ask our Senate President, are we going to retaliate?
Yeah.
Did that strike you as odd?
It did strike me as odd, and I noticed she very quickly got the governor's attention.
Yeah, well, the governor
shut that right down.
She hammered it down right away.
So I don't know what that was about, but that went away pretty quickly.
Your governor has her challenges. She's dealing with the migrants now.
Yes,
and I know the city of Taunton has had some concerns about. What's been your experience with that? Yeah,
really. So Attleboro, we have one small motel on the edge of town, right adjacent to the Pawtucket border, and the Commonwealth did not put migrants there for. I guess the hotel has a contract with Department of Youth and Children, so we didn't get migrants in the city. However, that's not to say there aren't folks coming and living in different situations, you know what I mean? But we didn't have nearly the impacts of some other municipalities.
Right.
And wow, yes, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
Well, the impact is, you get into the whole debate about illegal immigration. But then if they come and are settled into a community, they go to school. And this is an impact on taxes and services.
Yes.
So I can understand both sides of the story.
It's a short-term impact. So as you may know, in one of my former lives, I worked for the Immigration and Naturalization Service. For about 4 years, I was in the immigration court. So these are issues I'm quite familiar with. And in the 25-plus years that I've left the INS, not much has changed, which is exactly the problem with our immigration system. There's no political will to do what needs to be done. But at the end of the day, the fact is we actually need some of these folks. We need people to fill jobs. These people are ready, willing, and able to work. Now, I'm not advocating in any way, shape, or form for illegal entry, right?
Yeah.
But let's create a lawful entry system that is fair to all and actually serves the country. I think we can do both.
Well, listen, there is merit to that argument. We do need people to fill jobs, and that's been shown. But when people sort of break into the country and go on the dole, or we don't know who's coming
Agreed.
in.
Yes,
these are all
yes.
legitimate issues on both
Absolutely.
sides of the argument.
I'm not advocating for illegal immigration by any means. Having said that, after hearing some of the stories in immigration court from people who came to the United States, I empathized with them, and I thought to myself, I would have done the same thing, and so would have you. Right? So I get that. I'm not advocating for that. What I'm saying is that in a country as great as the United States of America, we can surely figure this out if there's a will to do so. Yeah. So the migrants and the folks coming here, I guess, are part of the problem, but it's also that our government hasn't done anything about it. It's a political football.
You raise a fair observation. If you or I were in their shoes, we would probably do the same thing.
Yes.
Conversely, we're the stewards of the country, though.
Yes.
So we have a right to demand certain standards and certain rules applied.
Absolutely. And I said I'm not advocating for illegal. I'm just saying that we can do it.
All right.
This is the United States of America. We can do this if we want to.
More immediate concerns. Your schools were a big issue in that debate we had.
Yeah. So our schools, we're really lucky. We have, I don't know if you've seen our brand new, beautiful high school, Gene.
I've seen it on the news, but I haven't been there to visit.
It's fantastic. It's amazing. It's everything. So we actually, our enrollment, unlike many municipalities in the Commonwealth, our enrollment is up. I think that some of it is the high school bringing kids either out of the charter schools they were in or moving to the city for the high school. However, like most municipalities, do our schools need more money? Yes. Yep. Not only to serve the students, but also for capital improvements. Gene, capital improvements. Capital improvements.
Yes, okay.
And particularly now that the interest rates, right, we're never going to see those 0 to 2% interest rates. That dream we were living for 20 years is over. So facing capital improvements not only for our schools, but our police and fire and some other infrastructure, our water and wastewater, that's a particular concern on the horizon of what's coming in terms of expense.
How are you getting along with your police and fire? And the city council, take police first, then go to fire, then the council.
I'm a big fan. I think I get along very well with the police department. I'm a big fan of law enforcement. The chief and I get along very well. I appreciate our relationship, which we had established when I was on the council. I had worked with the chief on a couple of things, so I'm a big fan of the men and women in blue. Yeah. And I feel, their job is interesting because there's a lot of people who have feelings about the police. But if you haven't walked in their shoes, you don't know. So do the job. And then maybe you'll have a more fair criticism if you'll have any criticism at all. So I'm a big fan. AFD, same thing. I get along well with the fire department. Chief LaChance and I have a good relationship. So I think we're good there. And I forgot the latter part of your question.
Well, I was just, before I get to the city council, I was going to look what just happened at Rainham. A couple of days ago, we saw what a cop is up against sometimes. A guy opens a door with a gun.
Yeah,
you have a split second to make a decision.
I guess that's true in life, right? Put yourself in somebody else's shoes before you call them out. Just take a beat and think about what might that feel like to walk up to an unknown vehicle, tinted windows in the dark. You don't know who's in that car. So, maybe cut them some slack every now and then.
Now let's get to the city council.
City
that
council.
Was the third leg of the stool here.
Yeah, so there are 11 city councilors. As you know, I became mayor elected directly off the city council. So some of those folks are my friends and my former colleagues. There are 4 new councilors that I'm still trying to get to know what they're about, what their perspectives is, what they're looking for. I'd like to think we have a good working relationship. I personally would admit to I'd like to talk more with some of them. I don't quite know how to do that.
What do you mean? It's a small town. What do you mean? Can't you just pick up the phone? Let's go down to a cup of coffee? What do you mean?
I absolutely can do that, and I've invited all of them, particularly new ones, to come up to my office. Let's chat. I want to know what's important to you. You can know what's important to me. I'd like to do more of that. Because I think just to develop not necessarily an agreement, but the understanding of what I'm doing and why, so that when I make requests downstairs to the council, they have a little bit more context and kind of just a better understanding. And it's a relationship, Gene. At the end of the day, it's all about relationships. If people know you, and even if they don't agree with you, if there's some degree of respect, things just go better. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to cultivate relationships. So yes, I could take them all out for coffee or a drink or something.
We just have about 30 seconds left. Just a final question: how do you see your town? Are you an extension of Rhode Island? Are you a suburb of Boston? I see you as an extension of Rhode Island because I always find myself up there. I go to Rentham. I go to some of the restaurants. How do you see yourself? 30 seconds.
Well, I see us as a municipality in the Commonwealth, but I'm a native Rhode Islander. So, and I can't tell you how many folks from Rhode Island live in Attleboro, how many folks from Attleboro went to Rhode Island, in particular Warwick, where I'm from. Right. So you can't really separate the two, but, I'm in the Commonwealth, proud member of the finest state in the country, but deep appreciation and love for Rhode Island and your beaches.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in, the mayor of Attleboro. We'll have you in again.
Thank you, Gene.